everything's working. Okay. So I think we're also live on YouTube. People in the YouTube live chat, let us know how the audio is, and also on Facebook, please let us know how the audio is. If you could hear us, everything is good. I see Mike. I see His Holiness. His Holiness had an official complaint for Atheist Republic. The complaint is I have to wait a whole 5 minutes before my favorite podcast starts. Oh, thank you, His Holiness. Sopham, hi Sopham. Jack is here. Beach is here. Mars is here. All our favorite people. Soraya. Oh wow, all our favorite people are here. All right, Ali. Should we? Let me see how the audio. Guys, can you hear Armin? Fine, perfect. Audio is good. Chris on Facebook is saying, "Hey, hello, Atheist Republic. The audio is great. I can hear you very clearly. Perfect." Ali, let's go to the. So we have 10 news to cover on religion, secularism, politics, and all the other stuff that we discussed already on the Atheist Republic Facebook page. We post them there. We go over some of the comments. We discuss the news. What's the first news, Ali?
First news is Sports Illustrated features first Burkini girl.
Burkini.
Halima Aden, a Somali-American supermodel, has become the first Muslim model to appear in Sports Illustrated wearing a burkini. Young girls who wear a hijab should have women that they look up to in any and every industry, she told BBC. One Twitter user commented, "If you're going to wear the hijab to cover your skin, whether you think our religion calls for it or you want modesty, it's completely counterintuitive to strike a sexy pose in a magazine known for objectifying women." Another comment read, "I would get it if it were a swimsuit catalog for women to buy, but the magazines is specifically made for men. It beats the whole purpose of the hijab."
It looks great, though.
It's so pretty. She's so pretty. She's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. But also, I know a lot of the people that are going to listen to this later on our podcast can't see, but it's so bright and so colorful. It looks like, if I didn't know this was a hijab, this would be like, wow, that's like, this is nice. Usually when in the world of fashion, everything looks weird, but this actually looks like pretty impressive. But okay, so a lot of people are going to say, like, obviously, I mean, I agree, like the hijab, the whole point of hijab is to claim ownership over your property, which is women, right? And you could point that out, but I just don't think that we should, like, hate her for doing whatever she's doing. I mean, this looks great and she could do whatever she wants, but she has every right to do that. And we also have the right to point out that, okay, yeah, do you, and we do us by just reminding everybody what the hijab stands for and how many women around the world are being oppressed by it. But I think while we do that, we shouldn't put any hate or pressure on her specifically for doing whatever she's doing. What do you think, Ellie? I don't know.
I do agree with that, but I definitely think that people should point out the hypocrisy just because, I mean, it's there. So I think that it's great that she is trying to bring her fashion, for her religion into the modern era, into everybody's home through Sports Illustrated. I think that it's very brave of her. Like I said earlier, I think she's gorgeous. I think she's great. But there is huge hypocrisy here. And I don't think there's any point in pointing out the hypocrisy, and celebrating the fact that this woman is trying to do something new.
Wait, you're saying you could do it both at the same time?
Why not?
Right. Yeah, I guess you could point out that this actually looks pretty good. I mean, this got a lot of attention. That's why we're covering it. Some people are like, "Why are you covering this?" Well, it got a lot of attention. It got a lot of engagement on our page. So we talk about whatever the community wants to talk about, and it's very interesting to talk about these things because people usually use this as an opportunity to hate on a certain group of people, and we say like, while they point out that this is hypocrisy. We think that you could point out that this is hypocrisy without hating on the people that are doing it, right? You could point out that she gets to do whatever she wants, that this looks pretty, and she should do whatever she makes her happy, while also mentioning that, remember that we're celebrating here a symbol of oppression of women, all in many countries around the world. You could do those things at the same time. By the way, Ali, a lot of people are gonna, whenever I tweet or post something about the hijab, there's always that one person that says, men shouldn't talk about hijab. This is a woman thing, right? But I was thinking, like, so I think a lot of people think I shouldn't be talking about it because I'm a man, and I think a lot of people think you shouldn't be talking about it because you're white. But I
Right.
think if we put our oppression classes together, oppression powers together, me and you maybe together, it's kind of like Captain Planet. Like
Yes.
you
Our
put your
powers combined,
yeah,
unit brings.
you put being in an oppressive class of being a woman and me being not being white together. We could maybe these people would allow us to talk about it if we talk about it together.
Yes.
But what do you think about the people that tell that to me? Like, oh, women should only talk about the hijab. Why are you tweeting about the hijab? It has nothing to do with you. I think that's bullshit because, sorry, I shouldn't swear because YouTube doesn't like it. Because the hijab was enforced by men. It's a male invention anyway. So what the hell are you guys talking about?
Right. Well, and not only that, but we have to have everybody on board if we want to see change, right?
Right.
It's the same thing with feminists. If there were no male feminists, like back in the suffragette days, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder because you need to have people on board no matter what. A lot of men say that women shouldn't talk about circumcisions, but isn't it us that's having the boys? Isn't it us that's making up the decision on whether or not they're going to be circumcised? There are certain topics that maybe while we don't have the equipment or we're not of the gender or race that people want us to be discussing these things, but we need everybody on board. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that people actually get scared. And that's why they say things like, oh, you can't discuss this because, you're a man. Oh, you have no right to discuss this because you're white. No, everybody has a right to an opinion. This is a problem for everybody.
So Soraya is asking when the intention of oppression is eliminated and people are finding it as a choice, then it's fine. But how is that hypocrisy here? Well, the thing is that these the people that are using it as an expression of something else completely different from the original intention and why the hijab was there to begin with, what they do is they deny the original intention. Like, no, I haven't yet met somebody that says, I wear the hijab because I'm expressing, this is the way I express my myself, but at the same time I acknowledge that the intention, the purpose of the hijab, it was to identify, to protect your property, the free woman that you're married, because there's different level of ownership when it comes to women. You either have sex slaves or you have wives, right? And you don't need hijab really necessarily for your sex slaves because they're slaves, but for your women, you're protecting your property from other men. That's why you put hijab on them, right? It's not Muslims in free countries now say this is something that I'm expressing, but this was never something that women used to express themselves. This was something that was put on them by men as a way to protect their property from other men, and also to separate them from their sex slaves, right? So yeah, so if so, do any Muslim women today acknowledge that? I don't think they do, because they probably wouldn't be Muslim if they knew or admitted that, that this is the origins of what hijab is meant to represent. A lot of them wouldn't be comfortable with wearing it if they acknowledge that this is what it stood for. Like, Soraya, the question, like, if what you're saying, would you say the same thing about the KKK costume? Like, if somebody wears the KKK costume today and says, like, oh, I acknowledge the origins of it was for something else, but I'm wearing it right now without the intention of oppression, or without the original intention, and so I know the history of the KKK and I know what the costume stands for, but today I'm going to wear it with a different intention. Would you have the same would you say the same thing about that, Soraya? Mike is saying, is the Burkini a real thing in Islamic countries? Oh, no, actually, this is a very good point, Mike, because this is why I want to separate myself from the way that Muslims are talking about this right now, because these women are, no matter, like, a lot of people that are against Islam, so again, these are two groups of people. Critics of Islam and anti-Muslim bigots are not the same group of people, right? But both of these group of people, when they're talking about this, a lot of people think that she's under a lot of pressure right now, but the actual pressure that these people, a lot of the most of the hate that these women are getting is not from the critics of Islam or anti-Muslim bigots, which are a completely separate group of people. Please, just because I'm putting it next to each other doesn't mean that I'm saying they're the same. The main hate that these women are getting are from Muslims, right? Like especially in Islamic countries, like Muslims here in North America, but also in Islamic countries, they're looking at this and they are angered by this more than other people. They are like, what the hell is this? This is not hijab. The whole point of hijab is modesty. You're not a Muslim. You're making fun of hijab. She's getting a lot more hate from the Muslim community than anyone else, and that's why I want to make sure that if we criticize or point out the hypocrisy of this, acknowledge that, hey, this looks pretty. We celebrate that the fact that it looks pretty, but at the same time, we want to remind you about the origins of this. We want to make sure we don't do the same thing that they're doing. We don't want to bring hate and anger towards this model, which probably has no idea about any of the stuff that we're talking about, because most people don't look into the history of the things that they're doing. I'm pretty sure if she knew the history, she wouldn't be endorsing it, right? So, I mean, I don't think she's just doing the thing that makes her happy. I just want to make sure while we don't do what the Muslim community is doing to her right now. I want to make sure if we point out the hypocrisy, we don't do it with anger, we don't do it with hate. So yeah, the burkini is actually criticized more by Muslims than non-Muslims. Subham is saying, people think I shouldn't talk about it because apparently I don't understand how peaceful Islam is. So let me see. Jack is saying the origin of the hijab essentially for women is essentially for women what branding cattle is for farmers. Oh, Jack, perfect, exactly. And while some have freedom to choose, it's still used that way. Right, yeah, and even if it's not used that way, for example, if the KKK costume was not used anymore, if somebody just used it right now and they're like, I'm using it for something different, I'm sure a lot of people that are defending the hijab because it's being used for something different today would oppose to that, be against that. Burkini, burqa, skinny, testing, 1, 2, 3. So I don't know what people are saying here. I'm not, guys. Make sure you mention Atheist Republic if you want me to read anything. Let me see what the top comments are. Alice saying it's my choice. Says person indoctrinated with religion from birth and threatened with death if they leave. I mean, even if there was a choice, even if somebody is not indoctrinated, even if somebody was not a Muslim before and they picked up Islam and now they're choosing to wear the hijab, they have to acknowledge that it's not a choice for many people, and they have to acknowledge. I mean, they don't have to, but we are there to remind people about the history of this and what it used to stand for and what it still stands for today. Ken is saying, Kim is saying next month's issue, Mormon and the Magic Undies. Oh yeah, I would like to see that. Ken is saying nothing says female empowerment by wearing the headgear your husband forces you to wear. I don't think we should generalize all of this. It could be very possible that she has chosen it all herself, that nobody is pressuring it. Maybe she wasn't even indoctrinated as a child. It still doesn't make it...
She was.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, even if she wasn't, the hijab still is a symbol of ownership over women. It is that symbol, right? If you want to use it for something completely else, we'll do it, but we will remind people what it stands for. So Raya is saying, so you think this burkini is the indirect approach to just justify actual hijab, just to keep jumping between choice? I don't think they're putting that much thought into it, Soraya. I think she's just a Muslim. She wants to be a model. She's just trying to find a flexible way to be sexy and not give up her hijab at the same time. I don't think they're putting that much philosophical thinking about, other than like, hey, how could I have a career in modeling and not give up the hijab at the same time? Which a lot of people point out that you can't, but she's sort of like, well, I'm gonna try. But I want to show you this other version of it that you mentioned. This one is not pretty. The first one is pretty, but I don't know what the hell this one is.
I don't know.
It looks weird. All right, let me see what the other comment is. Christina saying, I saw a little girl age 10 today in the bus, fully covered except for her face and hands. That image kind of shook me. This is not a free choice, but brainwashing. Yeah, I mean, if you're a kid, then it's brainwashing. Sopan saying, even the people who said it's a choice say that their choice is either wearing it or moving away from the right path of Allah. That's what a Muslim classmate of mine said. Yeah, so, okay, so choice-wise, right? So it's either, there's different level of, when people say it's a choice, well, in many countries, it's not a choice, it's the law. But then even if you're not in those countries, it might be forced by your family. Even if it's not forced by your family, you might, then the next level is that maybe you were indoctrinated to it as a child. Even if you're not indoctrinated to it as a child, then maybe the less forced version is that you think you have to because hell. But then there is maybe you will find then the next level is that maybe you'll find a small tiny minority that thinks that you're not going to go to hell. I haven't met this is a hypothetical situation. I'm sure if you look hard enough you'll find it. I haven't met anybody like this that weren't indoctrinated as a child, doesn't live in a country that is enforced by law, doesn't think that you have to wear it to avoid going to hell, still chooses to wear it. I'm pretty sure if you look hard enough, you might find somebody like that. But even in that situation, in that hypothetical situation, that hijab that she's choosing to wear is still a symbol of ownership over women.
Just like Armin, a woman that fit that exact description wrote our page recently. So she was a pagan, she was a Lutheran, she was a Jehovah's Witness, and then she jumped over to Islam. And she lives in America, and she wears the hijab. And had a very lovely discussion with her, by the way. So.
Well, let's bring her on as a guest.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, let's ask her if it makes her uncomfortable knowing why the hijab was created. Given that now we find somebody actually that is a choice, right? Why does she think it's okay to wear it, given the history of it and given what it stands for, and back then and even today in many other countries, right? I would be very curious to what she would say. Sopan is saying, Rahman's daughter said that she chose to wear a burqa and no one forced it on her. She's the daughter of the Indian musicians. Yeah, well, I would have a follow-up question on that. Like, no one except Allah, right? No one, by no one, are they talking about just no human, or are they saying it's forced to them by their own belief? Maybe it's forced to them by their own. They're their own jailers, right? They hold the key to their own jail cell by thinking it's required. They have convinced themselves that it's required. So it's still, choice again is whether something is a choice or not is a much more philosophical discussion. I mean, you could, whether free will. So I'm not going to get into that, but it really, the word choice means different things to different people. So, so that could get very technical about what we're exactly talking about here. Let me see if anybody else. Ali, do you want to add something?
Somebody said, I bet she's really level-headed. If you're talking about the woman I met, she actually came to insult us. And she was really angry, but my kindness and charm kind of won her over. So we had this great conversation. It was really, really interesting because I'd never met a woman who had turned to Islam the way she had. It was just very interesting. So I don't know if she's level-headed or not, but we did have a delightful conversation.
A lot of people come to our Atheist Republic angry, and then they leave kind of like, a little bit more happy with us. And the other way as well. A lot of people come and they're very happy with the Atheist Republic and they leave very angry. Chris is saying the hijab in the Muslim world is essentially the same as a wedding ring in the Christian world. This is mine, so stay away. I don't know if I don't think it's the same thing as a wedding ring, because both sides gets a wedding ring. And the process of divorce and leaving the person that you married, it's not the same now with wedding rings as the way marriage used to be back in back in the day, where it's actually you buying a property off of a father. So maybe actually that's very interesting. Should we stop wearing wedding rings because it might symbolize? I mean, the people that do marry today, I'm sure they wouldn't have a problem acknowledging that marriage used to be something else. Marriage used to be a business contract between you and another man, right? So, given that we acknowledge that and now we have changed it to something different, I don't mind it that people acknowledge that this is now something different. So, maybe I would be more okay with women expressing themselves as with hijab if they acknowledged that it used to be something else and they admit what it used to. I mean, the problem is that it's not even used to. It still is, right? So it's not only they have to acknowledge that it used to be something else. It used to be a sign of ownership. It is still a sign of ownership and is still being used to oppress women in many countries around the world. So if you acknowledge it, maybe we could start talking about the fact that it's not hypocritical. But right now it's absolutely hypocritical. Should we go to the next news?
Okay, next news. Next news is out of Arkansas, United States. This Christian teacher ended her husband's porn habit by shooting him dead.
That works.
According to the New York Post, Patricia Hill, age 69, had asked her dearly beloved to cancel his smut subscription with the Dish Network after she caught him watching dirty TV shows on multiple occasions. Patricia Hill, a religious woman who taught Sunday school, believed that the shack where her husband indulged in his porn habit had been taken over by the evil one. When her spouse declined to give up his favorite channel, she walked into the house, retrieved a pistol, and fired a warning shot straight into Frank's head. The judge decided that she should spend the next 16 years in prison.
But she first shot a warning and then
No, the warning shot was in his head. There was no warning shot. It's just a joke.
Okay.
She just went in the house, grabbed a gun, and killed the man. Just shot him in the head because he wouldn't give up his porn.
Wait, what's the evil one? Evil one?
The devil.
Okay.
She believed that the devil had taken over his man.
So why didn't shoot your husband if it's not his fault? It's the devil's fault.
Right? I mean, come on. This lady, she taught Sunday school. She should know all about the devil and how he works through us.
Yeah, I mean, your poor husband has no chances against the greatest deceiver of all time, right? Isn't he?
No chance.
So maybe your husband should have been like, hey, you're saying it's the evil one, so just forgive me for watching porn then because it's not me, it's the devil. Why are you shooting me?
The devil made me do it. I mean, that's the most famous phrase ever.
Right. Sunday school, eh?
Sunday school.
Okay, but this
is... They're both really old.
They both... Wait, the wife is a Sunday school teacher or both of them are?
The wife. The wife is a Sunday school teacher.
All right, can you blame this on Christianity, though?
No.
Is it? No.
There's nothing in Christianity that says if you watch porn, you should if your husband watched porn, you should take a gun and shoot them.
Maybe
and like you said,
maybe if she took out his eye, that would be biblical.
Maybe that would be biblical, and maybe she wouldn't be. I still don't understand why it's only 16 years in jail. Maybe she had some
16. Oh yeah, you're right. Well, maybe because
she killed a man.
So old.
16 years for killing a man.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why do you get only 16 years for killing somebody?
There's different reasons why judges will be more lenient on you. And what I'm thinking, this might have been a case of what they call death by being provoked. Like if your spouse is constantly provoking you, then
by watching porn, that's not fair provocation.
I don't think that is. But this is Arkansas, USA, Armin. We're talking Bible Belt stuff here. I don't know what he let her get away with, but
yeah, seriously, why did she? This is not fair.
She only got 16 years.
Yeah, okay. This is now I'm angry because I was angry. Not okay. Yes, I was angry that this poor man got shot in the head. But religion is getting it seems like religion is getting unfair treatment here by her only getting 13 years, right? Like
16.
16. Maybe if she shot somebody else for a different reason, maybe she would be getting life in prison right now.
Absolutely.
That's not fair. But
absolutely.
anyways, when we say that this is not biblical, we're not defending Christianity, because again, like I said, if she went with a knife and took out his eyes because he was watching porn, that would be biblical, right?
Right, because he's lusting after other women, right?
Yeah.
And that's a biblical sin.
And the Bible says that it's better to take out your own eye rather than lusting over some other woman, right? So if she took out his eyes for watching porn, then we would admit that this is very Christian, influenced by Christianity. So whenever we say something, like whenever some Muslim commits something horrific crime, and we say, yeah, this guy was Muslim, but this is not Islamic, we're not defending Islam. And whenever some Christian does something horrific, and we like, yeah, but this is not supported by Christianity, we're not defending Christianity, okay? Because if it was influenced by Christianity or Islam, we will admit, we will point it out, right? But we're just trying to make sure that we're being fair here, and not just every time a religious person does something horrific to just start blaming it on religion, because a lot of times it's just horrible people being horrible people. We're not denying the fact that religion does influence people's behavior in very negative ways. We just want to make sure.
Right, and also she's the one that brought religion into this. She's the one who, for her defense, said the devil was working through him. The devil had taken hold in his man cave, so to speak, and she's the one that did that. That was her defense, that this is a biblical issue. She's a sweet Sunday school teacher. Her husband was watching naughty, dirty things, and clearly this was a force of religion, and so she tried to use that as her defense. That's her bringing religion into this. Really, this is a woman who was angry, who just got mad and killed her husband, and she's only getting 16 years for it.
Yeah, I think that's not fair that she's only getting 16. Scott is saying, I see why he had a porn habit. Oh, that's not... Okay.
Come on. Yeah. Guy's old.
Yeah, they're both old. Like, it's not like he is good looking either.
Right.
But yeah, but nobody should be, porn addiction is bad, porn habits is totally fine. Rian is saying she banged him one last time. My God. Shannon is saying, I haven't slept with you in years. Why do you watch porn? I don't understand this joke. Well, why is everything... Okay, Andy is saying he died doing what he loves. Oh my God, okay. Alright, sorry. I don't know what to... I'm trying not to laugh because somebody died, but that's the top comments, okay? Alright, so should we go to... Oh, the Carl is saying murder is a sin last time I looked. No, not really, Carl. Depends on who you kill. If you kill witches, that's not a sin. If you kill gay people... Again, YouTube! I'm not endorsing this. I'm saying according to the Bible, okay? I was going to say if you kill gay people, that's not a sin. But now YouTube is going to be like, algorithm is like, oh, Armin is endorsing. No, YouTube gods, please. I'm just talking about what the Bible is teaching, okay? If you according to the Bible, if you kill gay people, that's not only a sin, that's your duty. You have to, right? So there's a lot of people that you should be killing, actually. If your child is... If your kid is not respecting you, you should stone them to death. So
also, if you find out that your wife has had sex before she married you, then she should be stoned to death as well.
In front of her father's house, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of killing that is allowed in the. In fact, when Moses came down the mountain with the 10 Commandments, one of the commandments saying "Thou shalt not kill," the first thing Moses does after noticing people are worshiping a golden cow is to command his people to start murdering them. The first thing Moses does after coming down with the commandment that thou shalt not kill is to command for a specific group of people to be killed for worshiping the wrong God. So there you go. Next news.
Next news out of Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka attacks face coverings have been banned after the Easter bloodshed. Following a spate of suicide attacks on Easter Sunday that killed at least 250 people and injured hundreds, Sri Lanka has banned face coverings in public. The president said he was using an emergency law to impose the restriction on Monday. The face garment, which hinders identification, will be banned to ensure security, his office said. The Muslim leaders criticized the move. So while on one hand, he gets to say, I'm not doing this to punish Muslims. This isn't a Muslim thing. In Sri Lanka, just under 10% of the population is Muslim, and only a small percentage of those people actually wear burqas or hijabs in that country. He's trying to point out specifically that it's any face covering, but it's obviously just targeting Muslims.
So, okay, so here's the thing: we can't know people's intention. Do you think that this is just you think that they're just targeting Muslims by doing this, or is it just a security measure?
So he said that this is because of the Easter Sunday attack, right?
Yeah.
So
right?
How can this not? How can he not be talking about? Is he banning like motorcycle helmets? Is he banning? I mean.
Are they banning motorcycle? Okay, so here's the thing. I understand that banning face covering is totally fine if it's actually a security measure, right? But is it actually a security measure? I'm saying this as a person that hates face coverings or hijab in general, right? But I also want to make sure that we don't have rules limiting people's freedom. But it's, to wear whatever the hell they want, even though they're being idiots for deciding that. I just think that I agree that if face covering is a security threat, then people shouldn't have any religious privileges, right? Like if you say like all face coverings are banned, but because you're religious, you get to wear you get some privileges that other people don't. Like, oh no, that's bullshit. If you're banning face covering, everybody it should be banned for everybody, right? People just because they're Muslims, they don't get special privileges. But sometimes I think like maybe it's the other way around. They're going after women with face covering, and they're just using the security threat argument as an excuse, right? And I just think that's a dangerous move. That's just like it's because then for two reasons. First of all, then you're being dishonest here. And if you're using security as a excuse to send a message, then you're opening the door to the governments always use security threats as a way to pass laws that is not good for the society.
Beej is saying if somebody wants to attack a face cover isn't going to make a difference, and I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. Chris is saying the same thing. Yeah.
What's that?
Chris, who said that?
Beej.
Yeah, Chris is also saying the same thing on Facebook. But go on, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I completely agree with that. And like you were saying, if this is truly about safety, then I could completely understand. But the people who did the suicide bombings on Easter Sunday, they weren't wearing face coverings, were they?
No, but no. Okay, this is something that I'm going to say I'm ignorant about, because first of all, no security measure is going to completely stop anything. You could take a security measure that might reduce the security risk, but then and people say like, but what if the people do this? Yeah, but this measure is meant to reduce the risk, not to eliminate the risk, right? So it might actually reduce the risk. I just think, I don't know if it's reducing the risk. Has there been a study to show that, banning face covering is going to reduce the risk? Are we going by actual data and actual real security intentions? Or people are just trying to like poke at Muslims and they're just using security as an excuse? I don't know which one it is. I'm just hoping somebody should figure it out, because I'm hoping it's not the latter, right? I would completely support banning face covering for everybody, including Muslims, and not giving Muslims any special rights because of their religion, if you could actually show that this is a good security measure to take. But if it's reverse engineered to let's fuck with Muslims as revenge, and then come up with an excuse as a security measure, I think that's fucked up, and it opens the door to other ways of, fucking with people's liberties because of with the excuse of security. You know what I mean?
Right. And also the fact that if by them doing this, women who have to wear the hijab, how we were talking about earlier, how it can be a choice for a very small few, but for other people, it's not really a choice. Women who have to wear their head coverings, women who have to wear burqas here, they're just going to be confined to their homes. And then they're not going to get any outside influence because they're going to be stuck in their homes because they can't leave their homes without their hijabs or their burqas or their niqabs. So it's and all those things are banned, by the way. That's why I bring them up. So it's one of those things where it's like I do feel sorry for women who are forced into wearing those things, and then countries threatened to ban them, and these women are like, well, what am I going to do now? I have to sit in my house all day. Now I don't get to go talk to friends. Now I don't get to be exposed to other culture, and so it's a double-edged sword, I think.
Godless heathen is saying people should be able to be identified. Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to a mosque or a church, you could have women, like if you ask a hijabi, not a hijabi, like if somebody is wearing a niqab or whatever face covering, if you tell them that they need to remove it to be identified, they do remove it, right? Especially if you have a woman there to identify them, right? Like if they need to go in a bank, they say we need to identify you, or if they have a passport agent and they say we need to identify you, they do remove their niqab to get identified. So I'm not saying it's not a good security measure. I'm just saying somebody has to prove that this is a good security measure before just enforcing it. Bobby is saying we already have clothing restrictions. Can you walk nude to Walmart? Yeah, but I'm not saying you shouldn't have clothing restrictions. I'm just saying that it has to be consistent for everybody and for a good reason, right? I'm not saying there's not a good reason to restrict this. There might be a good reason to restrict face covering, but people should demand evidence. People should demand proof. Let me see what the top comments are actually. This person that I can't pronounce their first name is saying, "Can we just ban religion as a whole?" Yeah, sure. That works. What are you talking about? How are we?
Armin, how have we not thought of that sooner?
How the people that say let's ban religion? Can somebody tell me exactly how you're going to ban religion? How is that ever? First of all, people before you have tried, and it backfired big time. Okay, this is why we have the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Okay, this is why Turkey is now a much more Islamic country than it used to be, because people try to force secularism on people, and it fed religion. Religion feeds on being oppressed. You can't just ban religion. It doesn't work. You can't force people to change their beliefs, right? You can't. You only can convince them. You can't force them. So let me actually read the full thing before maybe I overjudged that too soon. So let me see. Can we just ban religion as a whole? Keep your spirituality, send your prayers, but do we really need religion? When I said religion, that means Christianity too, all of them. Yeah, we don't need religion, but you have to convince people that we don't need religion. You can't just force them to stop being religious. You can't force people out of their beliefs. I don't even understand how you would go and do that. I don't understand. Matt is saying, I as a ninja am offended. Okay. What's this? Glad to see support from all around the world. It's nuts that they're allowed anywhere. A lot of people actually like this niqab ban. I think people should demand evidence that this is actually good for security measure before they support it. Subham is saying criminals have often used the burqa to escape the police. A couple of months ago or so, a Hindu quack dog tried the same thing in the Kabul. Okay, but Subham is face covering. They could have used a different face covering, no? If they didn't have the burqa, like, is it? Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, I know that people use it, but people could use. People use the burqa. Yeah, but are you suggesting that's an argument for banning burqa altogether? Jack is saying helmets are mostly banned, can't go in stores, transit, etc. Sikhs get special rights to not wear helmets. Here in BC, for example, religions have loads of headwear. Okay, so that's what I'm against, right? So, for example, this is why I would be against religious getting special treatment, right? So, for example, in BC, where I am, where me and Jack are, there are some things that are banned for everybody except for religious people. That's bullshit, right? If Sikhs and Muslims get away with not wearing helmets, and everybody else has to wear helmets, or people say the helmet is you can't go into stores or transit with a face covering unless you're a Muslim. That's bullshit. If it's banned, it should be consistent across the board, right? It should be banned for Muslims as well. Muska is saying, Armin, all a society can do is ban religion and politics from mixing. Yeah, I agree with that, Moose. Oh, hey, Christy is here. Christy's saying, exactly, look at China. Banning beliefs is working
Okay, because somebody said earlier it's working fine in China, but it's not working fine in China.
No,
China has camps where they have millions of Muslims that they're entrapping in their camps right now and torturing. So
no, she says insert massive eye roll.
No, I know she's being sarcastic to the comment above that, which said it's working fine in China, and she's saying it's not working fine in China, and it's not. She's right.
Yeah, and if you support that, then you're supporting getting closer to an authoritarian regime like China. Then, so I think China is a good example of what we want to avoid.
Right.
Subhan is saying, I agree. Face coverings are often a threat to security. However, I won't support banning the burqa just for the sake of attacking Muslims. Right. If somebody actually shows that face covering is a security threat and it's a good thing to ban all face covering, then I would support banning the burqa, right? But if it wasn't, let's fuck with Muslims by saying that this is a security measure. If that's the intention, it's wrong. But I will support banning the burqa if somebody shows that, no, this is a good security measure. Soraya is saying, an ex-minister in India said, if banning burqa is accepted, then ban... What is this? Ali? Gungat? I don't know what that is. Anyways, we're reading too many comments. We have to go to the next news, right?
Yeah, next news. Ready? It's out of Missouri, USA.
Wait. Okay, yeah, say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Christian prophet says, I know Jesus personally, and he likes Donald Trump.
Wait, is this the lady that tried to stop the storm with her powers of prayers?
Yes!
Oh my, okay.
Yes. Kat Kerr made a name for herself as a prophetess who claimed she can control the weather and natural disasters. Kerr spoke at the 2019 Focus Conference in Missouri this weekend, where she declared that President Trump will coast to re-election because he has the endorsement of Jesus Christ himself, whom she knows personally, as Right Wing Watch reports. Whether anyone likes it or not, Trump is going to win again in 2020, Kerr said in the video clip flagged by Right Wing Watch. People have their own opinions. I don't have one. I say what God says. Wow, Kat is so she so knows God.
I think she just, I think she keeps trying to get on the news. And she just, every time she says something so crazy, but then she can't. Then she's frustrated because now she has to say something more crazy than before, or else people are like, meh, say something more crazy or else we're not going to cover you.
Exactly.
I don't know if she believes with the things that she says. I think she's just addicted to being on the news.
She has to be, because this is insane. And I mean, she's already saying she can control the weather and natural disasters. But how hard would that be to prove? You can just say after the fact, yeah, that hurricane hit because I was angry. I wanted it to hit. God told me it was going to hit. And she just hops up after the fact. It's not like she's making predictions before, people already know it's coming.
So the top comment is by Andrew, which I want to actually respond to because I don't like it. Andrew is saying America is the world's biggest lunatic asylum. Really, Andrew? Have you not seen the news that we have from the rest of the planet? I think this is... Andrew, are you from the United States? Because I think this is... No, you're from United Kingdom. Interesting. Because I think that a lot of people are very... I don't know, every time America does something something crazy comes out of America, people want to say oh yes, America for sure. Really? Have you not heard the news from Iran, from Saudi Arabia, from India, from Philippines, from Kuwait, from Mexico, from Canada. Like, Americans don't have a monopoly over crazy, Andrew. Okay. Tim is saying Jesus just like Donald. He loves the rest of us. Okay. I don't know what is that. I don't know what that means. Brooke is saying if Jesus was real and like Donald Trump, then heaven would be the last fucking place I would want to go. Okay, I guess. Then Ramiro is saying God makes universe with 18. Okay, that's a long joke. I'm not gonna read it. Let me see. Sopam is saying is that okay? So this woman's hair is pink, and Sopam is wondering if that's allowed by the Abrahamic God. I don't think there's anything against it in the Bible, is there?
Because, I don't think so.
Actually, Abrahamic God, if you're considering all Abrahamic gods, then Allah actually, there's a hadith where you should color your beard red, like Muhammad used to do. Muhammad used to color his beard red, so you see a lot of very religious people that think you should do everything exactly the way Muhammad did. They color their beard red. So at least one of the Abrahamic gods endorses.
Yeah, and in Christianity, the only thing it says is you have to, treat your body as a temple of God. So I think that every different religion identifies that differently. Some will say you can't get tattoos. Some will say like Judaism, you cannot get a tattoo. And there are different things. Some people think the same thing about ear piercing, that you're defying your temple to God. So it just depends. And biblically, it doesn't mention hair dyeing specifically.
So if Trump doesn't win, what do you think? What excuse you think is she going to give if he doesn't?
God speaks to her directly, Armin. There couldn't be an excuse. It would just have to be, I was bullshitting. I'm sorry.
No, she's going to come up with something. But what would be a good excuse? Like if you were her.
Trump would have had to have done something to piss off God, so God gave his grant to somebody else.
Right. God changed his mind. Will is saying, I want her to tell us where we can get what she smokes. Bass is saying, wouldn't Jesus be a socialist or something? Jesus was not the hippie socialist people make him to be. He was a little bit of a loon if you actually read the New Testament. He wasn't any right wing or left wing. He was weird. Should we go to the next news?
Next news is out of the United States again. Christian mom who said wives who refuse sex should get over it since it won't take long. Lori Alexander of The Transformed Wife, a Christian blogger, responds to the criticism she received for telling married women they should have sex with their husbands even if they don't want to. Not in the mood? Too damn bad. Is that marital rape? Ha 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 ha. Absolutely not, she says. If the wife really doesn't feel like having sex, she says she needs to just obey God.
Oh, wow. Okay, so she's endorsing rape then?
She's endorsing the Bible.
Same thing. Right?
But yes, I mean, she doesn't call it rape. She calls it obeying God. And it is a woman's duty to submit to her man, no matter what that is. So here's a woman who truly does hold this belief. So yeah, she is going to try to spread with other women to let, have sex even if you don't want to. Now, I don't know.
So people say, Armin, don't comment on women issues because you're not a woman. You have to listen to what women have to say. Okay, let's listen to what this woman have to say. Oh, she's endorsing rape. Great. Thank you. Next woman. Okay. Let me see top comment. Top comment says, women should refuse sex if it isn't going to take that long. Oh, so this person... Yeah, by the way... I feel bad for her if she thinks if it's not going to take that long. So,
yeah,
is she married? Because maybe her husband is going to be like, "Can you please shut up? Like, what are you talking?"
She's like, "What? It only takes 15 seconds. What's wrong with
you?" Oh no! I bet you the husband is getting a lot of messages now. Corey is saying if her marriage is anything like the Christian people I know, her hubby is gay anyway. Overgeneralization. Jamie is saying, what is the pleasure in having sex if one partner isn't into it? Am I just being naive? Well, Jamie, rape is a big part of human history, so I don't know what it is, but it is something that has been with, it's endorsed by the Bible and the Quran. So don't act like it's. I know some people want to say like, oh, I don't get it. Well, it has been a major, problem throughout history. So it's not something that is just, people act like it's rare or it doesn't exist or it's so bizarre. How could But you have to. If you dismiss it like that, then you're not going to be able to fight it, right? It is something that, like when throughout history, for example, when an army took over a city, it was expected. Every single woman in this conquered city is now going to get raped. Like, this is the general, like, okay, so part of the reward that I give to my soldiers is for them to go rape and plunder. Like, this was the fact that we now as humans consider this bad is actually a very recent part of our history. We're way more mature than we used to be, but this level of maturity is very recent. Most of our history, it was expected, right? So we have to understand the history of humanity and how big problems are if we actually want to fight them. Moose is saying, with all the sex this lady supports, would she say get over it if the wives keeps getting pregnant? I don't know.
Maybe building an army for God.
Yeah. Patrick is saying, wow, I can't wait to be dead inside like she is. Oh. Kevin is saying, good old three thrust Christian missionary. Yeah. Yuval is saying, Atheist Republic, there are even worse cases of women endorsing rape during the, what is this? Oh, Rwandan genocide. Oh, really? There was a woman who called for the rapee of a Tutsi on RTLM. Jesus. RTLM radio, and the Egyptian lawyer Nagla El Imam called on Al Arabiya network for sexual harassment of Israeli women. Whew, that's scary. That is scary. Okay. Should we go to the... Did you want to add anything, Ellie?
Nope.
Okay.
Next news?
Oh, yeah, this is fucked up. Right,
yeah, out of Malaysia. A Malaysian celebrity canes 9-year-old daughter for removing her hijab. Alif Saikuri, millionaire founder of local cosmetics company De Herbs, recently took to his Instagram account to brag about beating his child with a cane. He posted a video clip of his adopted daughter in bed, covering her face and crying as he applied ointment to her back. He explained that he had beaten her for taking off her hijab in the company of other men, and he had to teach her a lesson about a woman's dignity. Hundreds of people flooded his page condemning his behavior.
Should I show the video? Not
yes.
Okay. It's not the beating, don't worry, guys. It's the where is it? It's on Instagram, right?
Yeah, it's on Instagram.
Yeah, this is really fucked up. And while I try to find it, what I found weird is that he put it on Instagram as if like, look how kind I'm being to my daughter, because he was putting ointment on her back and she was crying, and it looked like he thought that he was doing something so sweet, but he was putting ointment on her back because they just beat her because she took off her hijab. Like, I can't believe how
he caned her. I think there's a difference between a beating and a caning.
Oh my god! Yeah, let me find the. Did I send you the link to the Instagram video?
You did, yeah. So if you go to our chat, you'll find it.
There. Oh yeah, I found it. It was so sad. She was so cute, and she was trying to hold back her tears because she was going through so much pain. It was so... I should have had this ready before. Let me just... While it's loading on Instagram, let me just read the top comment. Chairman is saying atheists are so unhappy with their life. Oh, this is just a random theist troll. The reason why this is a top comment is because when theists comment, like, say stuff like this, it gets so much replies to that it ends up being the top comment. Let me see what the next is. Molly is saying, thank God I live in a country where I can live in freedom. I think they were being, satirical with the thank God part. Brian is saying religion of peace. Adrian is saying hijab is a choice, quote unquote. P in Islam is for peace. I'm tired of that joke, Islam. Yeah, and we know Islam is not a religion of peace. I'm tired of that. I don't know. It's not funny to me anymore. Yeah, we know it's not. Okay, let me show you this video. It loaded. Let me actually bring it up. This is not gonna show well for our podcast people, so I'm gonna try to describe it once it's here.
Minta maaf Kak Cis. Stop. Diam. Abang minta maaf apa? Lain kali buat lagi tak? Tahan sikit. Diam. Tahan sikit tak? Diam. Nak sihat tak? Nak sembuh tak? Tak, abang cakap nak sembuh ke tak nak sembuh? Tahan sikit ya. Diam. Perempuan apa?
Baik.
Perempuan baik. Berlagi? Perempuan apa lagi? Perempuan pandai lagi. Sakit tak? Perempuan lagi sakit? Kamu tengok. Diam. Dah sikit lagi. Sikit apa tak ni? Lagi jadi perempuan apa? Ha? Abah pelak abah. Okey, pusing. Pelak abah. Dah ya.
Itu kata bibi.
Sakit ke? Dah. Apa tiup sikit, apa tiup.
Bik, ubat itu kan bik?
Okay. That was where is this? Okay. Yeah. That was fucked up. And they're recording it and they're making sure, like, oh my God, it's so weird. To me, the fact that they put it out there shows to me that how they're not even embarrassed about what they do. Like, they're putting this as out there as if like, but Ruby actually in the live chat is saying local people endorse his behavior. So this was where? This is in Malaysia, right? Oh my God, this is in Kuala Lumpur. And this is, again, remember, Malaysia is supposed to be one of the most moderate Islamic countries in the world, right? So not only a celebrity did this to his 9-year-old daughter, not only did he feel that it's safe enough for him to put it out there publicly, Ruby is also saying there are many local people that endorse this behavior, and this is the country that people use as a moderate, not like Saudi or Iran or Bangladesh or Pakistan Islamic country, and this is the best you could get. Look at the influence of Islam, how far it's gone. Like this, I honestly can't believe. Like, it's got to so far away lands, and a 9-year-old girl has to suffer through this because of this fucked up barbaric ideology. Let me see what the top comment is. Anything other than people saying religion of peace? Actually, Sarah is mentioning, sadly, the video is still up on Instagram. Yeah, we just watched it on Instagram. When was this news? This was May 1st that we posted this news, but I think it came out a little bit even before that. Why is Instagram not even removing this? I mean, maybe they shouldn't remove it because I want people to see this. But
right.
But
I think they're not removing it because it's not a video of him caning her.
I saw a picture of him with the... What did he use? Like, I saw like a coat hanger.
Yeah, I don't know. They said cane. Someone was questioning why I pointed out caning rather than beatings, because people die from canings because it's severe. It splits your skin open. Typical spankings or beatings of a children don't result in that kind of brutality. So what he did to her was a lot worse than what, at least in the West, people consider a beating. Caning is horrifying and it's terrible. And a beating would have been terrible too, but this is just beyond. He ripped her skin open. This is disgusting behavior. Beyond disgusting.
Is he completely, nobody's gonna arrest him, no consequences, nothing?
I mean, right now, a lot of people are speaking out against him. They're clearly angry that he did this in the first place. A lot of people are saying, "Look, I agree." Even people that agree with that the little girl shouldn't have taken off her hijab, they're saying, "I agree that she shouldn't have done that. I believe that you should be teaching your children right from wrong, but there are right ways of doing it and bad ways of doing it. And you chose a very bad way of doing this." Another person brought up the fact that him putting it up on social media subjects her in the future to being bullied by people over this video of her laying there crying or her father caning her or something. You shouldn't expose those kinds of things on social media. So there's a lot of people that are calling him out, saying, you should remove this. And it looks like he's digging his feet in.
Wait, is he B just saying, if he is so devout, how was he able to adopt? Was this child adopted?
Yes.
So they should take her away from this monster.
Yes.
What the hell? But I don't think. I mean, he lives in a country where he could get away with this, I guess. If you're from Malaysia, please comment what you think, because you're mentioning a lot. He is getting a lot of backlash, right? But he's also getting a lot of support. So there's both support and backlash in the community from it. And a lot of people might say "Oh, Armin, you're only mentioning the support he's getting, but he's also getting a lot of backlash." But what I'm saying, if it wasn't in an Islamic country, I don't think you would be getting any support for caning a little child, right? Maybe a handful of religious nut jobs, but I think the level, even if he is getting a backlash, the level of support that he's getting is pretty fucked up, right? Muscal is saying, do you think that Malaysia needs a feminist movement? Well, every Islamic country needs that. Well, I mean, what you need is to get to kill Islam. That's what you need. And by that, I mean convincing people. Every time I said Islam needs to die, people are like, "Oh, Armin is so barbaric." I'm like, no. The way you fight religion is by talking to people and convincing them out of it. You don't think when you say you want to fight cancer, there's nothing, the word fight or the word kill, the word destroy, those are, if you use those words, if you say you want to fight cancer, that doesn't mean you're fighting any individual. The best way to fight Islam is to talk to Muslims. The best way to be able to talk to Muslims is to befriend Muslims. So when I say I want to fight Islam, when I say I want Islam to one day end, that's not a message of hatred towards Muslims in any way. In fact, it's the exact opposite, because you cannot change people's minds unless you befriend them, right? Unless you create a level of trust and friendship for them to even listen to you and want to hear what you have to say, right? So people just, I also try to clarify that every time I use the word fighting Islam. Molly is saying, thank God. I already read that. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, let's go to the next news.
Next news is out of California, USA. A driver plowed into pedestrians because he thought they were Muslims, California police chief says. Isaiah Joel Peoples, an Iraq War veteran, deliberately drove into a group of pedestrians because he thought some of the people were Muslim. He faces 8 counts of attempted murder, injuring 8 people. The most seriously injured is a 13-year-old Sunnyvale girl of South Asian descent who is in a coma with severe brain trauma. He was on his way to a Bible class when he drove into the group of men, women, and children.
Oh shit! Okay. So nobody died, right?
Not yet. 4 out of the 8 people are still in the hospital. This girl, it's not looking good for her. And this is, to me, similar to what we were talking about before. Right. This is not what Christianity teaches. This isn't Christianity.
Wait,
this is bigotry.
Okay, but is it... Okay, so we always want to be careful. Before we go there, is there any fundraiser for the girl that it was injured or anything like that we maybe
not that I know of?
If there is, let's share that on Atheist Republic, right?
Definitely.
So he thought they were Muslim. They were not Muslim?
Actually, I think they were, but the reason why he did it was because he thought they were Muslim. He just looked at them, and by the looks of them, their race, it says in the article,
Right.
he decided that they must be Muslim, so he drove into them to kill them.
That's fucked up. That is so fucked up. Um. So, okay, and he's gonna stay in prison forever.
Right now, there's no bail. He's in jail, and there's no bail to let him, release himself by paying it. So it looks like he's going to be in jail for a while as he's facing 8 counts of attempted murder.
Right.
If somebody dies here, then of course, obviously, that's going to go up.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, what can you say? This is fucking monstrous, right?
Absolutely.
I hope he just rots in jail for this, and I hope that let's see if there's anything, if there is a GoFundMe or anything for the girl. Let's see if we could share it on Atheist Republic.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't. When you say this is not Christianity, I don't know. Is it not? Aren't you supposed to kill the people that worship other gods?
Well, the Old Testament says that, and even though Christians nowadays are supposed to be abiding by the Old Testament and the New, just about any Christian you speak to, especially those who attend Bible class, will tell you that they follow the New Testament way of doing things. And in the New Testament, Jesus befriended the wicked tax collectors and the prostitutes. So that's the way Christians are supposed to live their lives. And even though Jesus says that when he came, he did not come to destroy the old words of the prophet, but yet he came to make sure that they were carried out. Christians still don't follow the Old Testament. They follow the New. They cherry pick. They decide what they want to go with. They say gays should die. Well, that was Old Testament stuff. So in that count, it's just, it's severe, creepy cherry picking. But from what I know of Christians, they don't live by Old Testament standards.
Chris is saying if there isn't a fundraiser for the little girl, then let's start one. I don't think so, guys. Maybe you have to let the people, the parents or whoever is close to them to decide this. Maybe, I don't think if they don't need it, if they don't want it, I think it should be up to them, right? Don't do anything unless you know they want something like that. Maybe if you're doing it with communication with them, if you're in touch with them, then go ahead and do it. Patrick is saying, what happens when you let Jesus take the wheel? John is saying it's a great time to be a bigot again in Trump's America. Come on, don't blame. I mean, I really don't like Trump, but please.
This guy was African American, and so being in America and knowing that there's been a lot of hatred towards African Americans in our history. I find it really shocking that he would look at a group of people and see their race and say, because of their race, I'm going to assume that they're Muslims and they should die. I think it's sad.
When I lived in Iran, they try to, one thing I noticed is that a lot of people try to just put all the evil into one place, right? And for a lot of people, that's Zionism or Israel. For some other people, it's globalism, right? And evil is usually much more complicated than that, right? So I feel like a lot of people now are doing that with Trump. Like, yeah, there are many people in Atheist Republic that hate Trump. There are some people that in Atheist Republic that like Trump. I'm not a fan of Trump. I really don't like his policies, especially his endorsement of the war in Yemen. And also his closeness, him supporting Saudi Arabia. Those are the main reasons why I don't like him. But don't just everything that happens like, oh, this is Trump. It doesn't help your cause if you want to fight everything. It's not. Don't just tie everything into one source of all evil. It doesn't help your cause at all. I'm glad whoever posted this on Atheist Republic. I'm glad they did that. I do think that when we fight Islam, we have to be careful we have to point out that Muslims are mistreated. They are mistreated. We fight Islam all the time, but we also want to take a stance against people that mistreat Muslims, and we need to bring attention to the fact that happens. Stuff like this happens, and I'm hoping that it gives our community a pause when if they want their disagreements with a certain group of people to translate into hatred. Don't let disagreements translate to hatred. We disagree with Muslims. We think it's ridiculous to believe in the things they believe in. We disagree with Christians. We think it's ridiculous that to believe in the things they believe in. Jews, Hindus, Buddhists. But it's the disagreements, we will point out those disagreements, and we don't hold back. We point them out, and we're very aggressive when we are talking about bad ideas. But disagreements at the end of the day are just disagreements. They shouldn't translate into to hatred towards an entire group of people. And part of our solution in fighting back against translating our for people to use our disagreements into a hatred for a group of people is to highlight when they're being wronged, right? We're an atheist group, and every time Muslims are attacked, we post about it. Every time Christians are attacked, we post about it. Every time Hindus, Buddhists are attacked, we post about it. We talk about it because we want to condemn it, because we want to talk about bad ideas. We want to fight bad ideas. And at the same time, we want to condemn anybody that thinks that's an excuse to hate a group of people. Another thing that we do is that we want to. A lot of people are saying, like, when they see some comments on Atheist Republic, every time something like this happens, there's some guy there that maybe thinks this was a good thing. There are some people that support a terrorist attack against Muslims and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of those comments within Atheist Republic community. And a lot of people are saying, why don't you remove them? Well, because we have seen some people change. People change. Even if one person have 100% change, like if these people get off of Atheist Republic and go somewhere else, you haven't won anything. What have you won by getting them off of Atheist Republic? When people come to you because they think, if people are starting to hate Muslims because they hate Islam, and they see that you seem to be a source that is speaking against Islam, and they come to you and they like your content because you're hating on Islam, but then all of a sudden they like your first video that says this is why Islam is wrong, and then second video, third video, but then all of a sudden they see, yeah, you're defending Muslims. Maybe 9 times out of 10 they're like, well, fuck this is not my community, and they leave. But then there might be that one person like, I didn't think it's possible to hate on Islam and not hate Muslims. This is interesting. Let me stick around. Let me see if there's something here that I missed, right? And people change. I mean, if we have had ISIS members that are now atheists, right? And if we could get that level of change, if you're not giving up on ISIS members, then why would you give up on people that are maybe white supremacists or something like that? Anybody could change. You can't give up on people. And banning them and kicking them off of a platform is not really going to make any difference. Carl is saying, I don't know what that has to do with what we're saying, but I'm not going to read that. Let me see. Sopham is saying, I just remembered by that. I will provide some links in the comments later. What are you talking about? There should be some in the comments last week as well. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll wait for that. Ali, did you want to add anything to that?
Nope.
Okay. Let us know what you think about any of this in the comments. Let's go to the next news.
Next news is also out of California. San Diego synagogue shooting. The suspected gunman was charged, was a churchgoer who allegedly used faith to justify his attack. John Ernst, the suspected gunman who allegedly killed one woman and injured 3 other people at a synagogue, is thought to have been a right-wing Christian who spoke of biblical justifications for his crimes. Mr. Ernst alleged the use of his Christian faith to justify shooting has led to soul searching within the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, of which he is a member. So yeah, this guy goes to a synagogue and tries to kill some Jews and use his Presbyterian religion as justification for doing so.
What religious justification?
Isn't that a good question? And I think that actually stems from what you were saying earlier. Doesn't the Bible say that if you worship different gods, you should kill? But I thought that Christians and Jews worship the same God. So I don't know. Now I don't know. I don't even know what he could have been using as his justification for it.
Wait, so this was not bigotry, this was religious terrorism?
Oh no, this was bigotry. I mean, in all honesty, he used a lot of anti-Semitic Semitic language when he was discussing why he did this. Ultimately, he ended up saying, "Oh, it's religious purposes."
Well, I mean, obviously it's bigotry, but is it like religious bigotry or racial bigotry? Like, or is it a mix of both? I don't know.
Probably a mix of both.
Some people might say, like, why does it matter? He's a monster and he should go to jail. Well, it matters because you want to investigate, because you want to stop these things before they happen, right? You want to find the cause. You want to go at the root of the problem. You don't want to just react to people killing and then put them in jail. You want to go and analyze these people's minds and see if you could, like, do something before it gets to that point, right? So
godless heathen just let us know that he blamed the Jews for killing Jesus Christ. Thank you, godless heathen. For that.
I think this could be blamed on Christianity.
Yeah?
I don't know.
You can stretch anything, I guess.
I don't know, because Jesus was a Jew. I mean, it's a stretch. I don't know, maybe it's just racism. I don't know, godless heathen, do you guys think that you could blame this on Christianity or not? Because I can't think of any biblical verse or anything that endorses this. Again, we want to be fair. Just because a Muslim does something, that doesn't mean it's Islam. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Just because a Christian commits a crime doesn't mean it's endorsed by Christianity. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. I just can't think of anything in the Bible that endorses this. So, well, no. Let me see if anybody in the live chat. B just saying Jews rejected Jesus. That is all they need. Yeah, but does it say anything in the Bible that because they should be killed because they rejected Jesus? They should go. The Bible says they go to hell and burn forever. It does say that, but it doesn't say that you should go kill them. Mars is saying he released a manifesto talking about love your enemies and Christians taking it too far or something like that. Okay. Okay, Subham is saying Jews don't accept Jesus, and he probably also a racist. So I guess it's a mix of both. Yeah, but I know that he's a racist, but I can't see which part of it is Christian. Jews rejecting Jesus is condemned in the Bible, and they will, according to the Bible, they will pay for it in the afterlife. I just don't know if there's anything in the Bible that commands you to make them pay for it in this life. Godless heathen saying, I feel his beliefs motivated the crime, but I don't think Christianity is responsible. So Christianity, you could say, is indirectly responsible. Indirectly is responsible. Subham is saying Jesus was a Jew, but most Christians turn a deaf ear whenever one points it out. They just don't want to accept it. We have a similar thing among Iranian religious Muslims, because many Iranians are racist against Arabs. They think the Arab race is inferior to the Persian race, and they hate they really hate the Arabs with the passion. And when you point out to them that they're religious and Muhammad was Arab, they have they don't have any good answers for you. Soraya saying this guy is having a Christ madness syndrome. CMS, is that a thing? I don't know. Let me see if there's anything here that I missed. Yuval saying a right-wing Israeli commentator, Guy Betcher, blamed anti-Semitic attacks in the U.S. on progressive American Jews. Wow. John is saying he blamed the Jews for killing Jesus. Okay. Okay, Chris, thank you for that. I look forward to the link that you mentioned. Okay, so yeah, let us know what you think. Let me see what the top comment is. The top comment is by Gene. Religion is the root of all chaos. I don't understand how people can't see this all around them. No, I don't agree with that. I'm an atheist activist, and I do nothing other than atheist activism, and I will tell you that religion is not the root of all chaos. It's not the root of all evil. It's not the root of all anything. It's a negative force in the world, and it should die. But without a lot of people say, again, see, there's two extremes in this. Some people say without religion, the world would be perfect. Everything would be great. We would be utopia. Everybody would be living in peace. And some people say, no, without religion, we will still have war. We will still have greed. We will still have racism. We will still have everything. And both of these positions are bullshit, because no, without religion we will still have war and other stuff, but we will have less war, right? The people that are saying we will still have, so let me clarify, the people on the other side, they say everything would be the same, okay? Without religion, you will still have violence, you will still have hate, you will still have bigotry, but you would have less hate. You would have less bigotry. You would have less violence. You would have less wars. It's not going to solve everything, but it will reduce the problems in the world. So both the people that say it will solve everything, they're wrong, and the people that say it will solve nothing, they're also wrong. Beach
said that blaming Jews for the death of Jesus is in the Christian text. And Beach, if you could, just because I seriously want to learn more about that, if you could link some biblical chapters in the comments after this, I would like to read those.
I mean, it's in the text that the Jews, those specific Jews, went to the Romans and asked Romans to crucify Jesus. Well, that's there.
Right.
So obviously.
But if there's like text that says that we blame Jews
in general? Yeah, I don't know if that's in there. Muscal is saying, are these shootings really about religion, or is it the result of ignoring mental issues in society? We don't know, Muscal. That's a good question. And anybody that pretends that they have the answer, unless they have direct access to this person and analyzing them in a professional setting, anybody that claims to you that they know, they're bullshitting, okay? Because you could just wonder about these things, you could guess, but you could also have to acknowledge that we don't know. All right. Should we go to the next news?
Next news. The location is actually unknown. We have it listed as USA, so I need to change that. This dead pastor will come back to life if you give her enough cash. What? A pastor who's dead can be resurrected if enough people throw money at her, according to a clip posted on the R Trashy subreddit. The location is unknown, and no one knows how much money it would take to bring her back to life. So, guys, this is what happened. Armin, if you can show the video. I don't know if you have access to it right offhand. But this pastor just passes out. She's dead, right? And she's laying there. And people start throwing money at her. And they're throwing money, and they're throwing money, and they're throwing money. And she comes back to life. The thing is like, she really was dead. She really was dead. And it was people's money that brought her back.
Oh my god. This is but okay, I'm trying to find the video, but how could people actually fell for this?
Yeah, well, and this isn't like the first case of this. If you recall, just a few weeks ago, we did a report about a pastor that wheeled the dead guy in the coffin, and he was laying there dead, and then he started saying all this stuff, and then the guy just came back to life. This is becoming a trend here now, I feel.
Well, I mean, at least that one, nobody was giving money, so I thought maybe there are some people in the audience that were saying this is bullshit. But this one, people
he did it so that they would give more money afterwards.
Okay, but let me see the video actually. If it plays, I hope it plays. Come on. This dead pastor. Okay, well, we should have this ready beforehand next time.
We should.
Okay, it's just one. Oh, it's getting up. She's getting up. Oh, the money was enough. Now she's getting up. I saw her head move. Anyways, Moose was saying, no, I'm not, I haven't gone. I just changed the format so you could see the whole screen. But that was great. That was great. But I don't understand why do these people fall? Like, do these people that are putting money, do you think like you actually think she's dead? I don't understand.
Is this like adult make-believe session or something?
Like, is it more like, when people watch wrestling and they know that it's fake and they just go with it?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah, I think it's like that.
Yeah, whatever. Let's just play along. Or is it they actually? I can't believe that they actually believe, right? So it must be like, yeah, whatever. I guess this is what we're doing today. I don't know. I really want to know. I wish I was there so I could talk to them and ask them questions. But we don't know where this was.
No, location is unknown.
It seemed like it was the U.S.
Might have been.
Yeah.
I tried finding more info about it.
Adam is saying she'll come to life even faster if you try to take some of it. If you try to take some of it back. That's good. That's good. Sam is saying, why is it so easy to exploit people? Here I am feeling like I'm in the wrong profession when I can be tax-free rich, but then again I actually have morals. Yeah, and there's actually a lot of other places that these money could be donated to. There's a lot of other charities or non-profit that people. It's such a. I mean, I guess maybe you're paying for the performance. Maybe you're being entertained. I don't know. Brenda is saying, I bet she come back to life if someone poured a hot cup of coffee on her. Yeah, that's not nice. Keith is saying, bring a coffin and place her in it. I bet you the deed of her church will live before you get that box in the ground. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, let me see what the live chat has to say. Sobham is saying, I believe the location is Bible Belt if it's in the USA. Yeah, I think so too. Sobham is saying, also money for the entertainment isn't really illegal. Well, actually, Sobham, I don't think they would be happy with classifying it as money for entertainment, because then they have to pay taxes for that if they're saying that this is entertainment and they're getting paid for that. I think it's very bizarre that if you actually earn the money by entertaining people, you get taxed for it. But if you're actually conning people out of their money, then that's tax exempt. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
Darko says, I wonder, does she do this every week? If it worked once.
It's funny how she's betting on people actually caring that she's dead. What if she tried it and people are like, why should we bring you back? Aren't you happy to go meet Jesus? Just stay dead. John is saying, Ali Jax, in regards to... Oh, okay, so yes, John and Yuval, I saw your comment on the Bible verse, but we moved on from that. Sorry, I didn't read it in time. Yuval is saying, the reason Jews... Oh, again, Yuval, that's from the previous news. I wish I saw that earlier. Sorry for not reading it earlier. Should we go to the last news?
Last news is out of Florida, United States. 2 teens stranded in the ocean insist God is real after a boat rescues them. 2 17-year-old kids in Florida skipped school on an unofficial ditch day, swam too far from the shore on a local beach, and were stranded for nearly 2 hours. They feared that they would die in the ocean until a boat came sailing to New Jersey, saw them, and saved them. Their prayers were answered in the form of a boat, a godsend named the Amen. There's no other reason, no other explanation in the world other than God, the boy said.
What about that guy that saved them?
Right. But he saved them on the Amen, Armin. The boat's name was the Amen.
Oh.
So
There's no other
There's-
explanation.
There's no other
There's
explanation.
no other explanation. Okay. Wait, so when they say God is real, are they saying that they didn't believe before and now they believe?
That's a good question.
Because if they believe now, then why the hell were they praying?
No, they prayed. They prayed to God. They
Oh.
prayed to send some help for them because they're stranded all the way out in the ocean. And then all of a sudden, this boat comes along named the Amen, and they're like, "Oh, God answered my prayers. God is real. Like this is absolute proof that God is real."
So just to be clear, are they claiming that there hasn't been any other examples of people not praying, being stranded on an island and being saved? Because that would prove that if this proved God is real, then by their logic, that would prove that God is not real. If somebody didn't pray and got saved, then what does that say?
Right.
Right. I don't know. Why are they on the news? Oh, because
Well,
they got
it's
saved.
Florida, and
Okay.
and two
Right.
kids that skip school. They skip school, so it's not like
Oh.
anyone would be looking for them. Their parents would assume that they're in school, right?
Right.
So I don't know. It's a cute story.
I think this is just a clever attempt to just bring attention away from the fact that they skip school.
There you
Like,
go.
who cares about school? We prove God. Come on. Let me see the top comment. Amber is saying, I mean, if that's all it takes to convince them that God is real, they must be super impressed by birthday magicians. Right. Rachel is saying the rescuers should put them back in the place they found them in. I don't know if the rescuers, if the ship is named Amen, maybe the rescuers agree with them, right? If that's what they named the ship, is that like a religious name for that ship, or is that just what was the ship name again?
It's the Amen.
So,
And so yeah, every ship has a name, right? It's
Right.
typically, I thought they were named after women. This one's the Amen. So it's
wait, is that referring to Amen, like what you're saying after a prayer, or is that something?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think the rescuer, because I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, maybe the rescuers are like, hey, hello, we give us some credit for saving you, or sorry asses, but given that their ship is named Amen, maybe they would agree with them. Patrick is saying, did they thank God for stranding them? Oh yeah, that's a good point. Kenny is saying, praise God for the rescue, but don't blame him for getting stranded in the first place. Well,
Of course not, because God was teaching them a lesson. See, anything bad that happens to you is God teaching you a lesson. Any way out of that bad thing that happens to you is God showing you His mercy. I mean, it's how it works.
Well, the way it works is that he stranded them so he could prove to them that he's real. But
Yeah.
but the real hypocrisy here is that either God wants to prove himself to us or he doesn't, right? Because when we ask people, well, then why doesn't God just move the fucking stars in the sky and just spell out, hey, I'm real, right? Because that's pretty good, way to convince us. But then the people say, well, because then it would be too easy. Faith has to be a struggle, right? Like, okay, then why did he give, then in that case, then why is he proving himself by these weird ways of like, saving you on a stranded island that might be a coincidence, might be God, maybe it's a coincidence, right? But why does he only prove himself in ways that it could be something else? Like, why specifically every time he has a miracle is through ways? So he either wants to prove himself to us through miracles or he doesn't. If he wants to prove himself through miracles, then his miracles are not very impressive because he could do better things. Like, I'm not impressed. Like, seriously, like you used to, cut seas in half and cut moons in half before the prophets before, right? So saving people on a stranded island, meh. So if people say, well, he doesn't do that because faith has to be a struggle, then what the fuck is all this? Like, come on, make a decision, God. Do you want to show us proof or don't you? Just don't be in the middle. Go for it. If you don't want to prove yourself to us, if you want us to find you, then stop with this fuckery with like playing hide and seek with us. Just stop trying to prove yourself. But if you want to prove yourself, then take the big step. Do what you used to do. Like bring, fire from sky, or like just show up. How about that? Just be like, hey, I'm God. I'm your creator. Ask me to do something, anything. I'll prove to you that I'm God. Like, anyways, this is so ridiculous. I don't know. It's so old making fun of this. It's easy, low hanging fruit. But sometimes you have to have fun, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what is this? Somebody's complaining about the audio. Oh, no, that was his issue. All right, so that was our last news. Soraya is saying this phenomenon is obvious when someone is such a when someone is in such a coincidence. On other point of view, I doubt that the girl is now going to become Mother Mary. They did it. What? This God thing is diversion. Oh, I don't know what you're saying. Muska is saying these people should be charged with fraud. Whoa, that's pretty. Okay, Moose. Subham is saying, wait, no, I don't think it's fraud if you believe your own bullshit. Subham is saying he had days and nights before there was the sun, and now he appears in toast. Oh yeah. So he created the stars and the solar system and black holes and matter itself and time itself, but now he's like appears in toast. It's ridiculous.
Doorknob had made a hilarious joke, and I've been trying to not laugh myself into tears. Yeah. He said some of the letters wore off of the boat's name. It's raining men. Amen.
Okay, that's it. All right, it's good to at least end like this. I know some of these you might think this is not important news, but hey, come on! With so much shitty news, we have to be able to make some funny news. It's good to to laugh a little bit. All right, everybody. Thank you for everybody in the live chat. Godless Heathen, Doctor with the long name, Mars, PLWK. You guys have to pick easier names to call out. Darko, Sobham, Christy, if you're still there, Doorknob Head, Soraya, Beach, if you're still there, Mike, live long and prosper, if he's gonna say that soon, Yuval, Chris, and then who else? Mark, Jack, John Brown, everybody else. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for correcting us, disagreeing with us. Godless Hidden is saying, see you next week. Alien Armin, Mike is saying, live long and prosper. May
the fourth be with you.
Oh yeah, actually that's it. Oh yeah, that's today. Sopam is saying, bye everyone. Mars is saying, off to see Seth Andrews tomorrow. Oh, that's happening tomorrow. Okay. All right, love you guys. Bye. See you next week.
Bye.